Does this look like you? Or this? Or this? Tony! Well, if it does, I have 13 tips to help you guys rank up in CS2. Now, the first tip that I have is you want to try and find gimmick plays. And if you guys don't know what gimmick plays are, what gimmick plays are is basically if the other team or player knows that something is coming, then it is bad. But because it's so unexpected, it's actually good. And that is what a gimmick play is. It's one of those things where you can really only use once or twice in a half, once or twice in a game even. But if the other team doesn't know that it's coming, then it can work out really well. A good gimmick example would be this window nade. So if I come up to this sawhorse in this corner, if the T smoke window and I throw this nade, it breaks the window smoke and I could potentially get a kill on top mid. Now, the issue with this is if the Ts know that I do this every single round, whenever I do this, there's just gonna be an opper holding me or a rifle holding me. And yeah, this is, again, one of the things you can only really try and get away with maybe once or twice a half. Because if the other players know that it's coming, then it's bad. But if they don't know it's coming, then you have a high potential of getting kill. Another example of a gimmick would be trying to jump up on triple in post plant. Let's say you're on T side, you get bombed down, you know the last guy is CT, and I want to get up on top triple. So if the other team knows that I'm on top triple, if the CT is coming around and he knows I'm on top triple, he's just going to spam me. This is a free kill. This is why it's considered a gimmick. It's because if they don't expect you to be here, it's really good. But if they do, then it's really bad. Every map has its own gimmicks, and every side, every site, every position has its own little gimmicks that you can do within your roles. So if you just try and find some gimmicks for your spots that you normally play, then you'll get, 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 extra kills per half. And obviously that will help you in more games. Now, the next suggestion that I have is try to buddy up. And what I mean by buddy up is, let's say I'm on CT side and I have a spawn towards mid and I want to push mid. If I have a teammate in this spawn or this spawn, I can tell them, hey, can you run up mid with me? Round will start, you'll come over here window, you'll jump out of window, and what do you think is better? Do you think one player fighting T's coming out top mid is better, or do you think 2 players fighting T's coming out top mid is better? It's going to be the 2 players, because they can trade off of each other, they're splitting up different angles, and if you play this correctly, you can actually top and bottom peek from close like this, and from deep like this, aiming at the same angle, but on different angles. So let's say it's like a 2v2 or a 2v3, and your teammate is in con with you. Now, when you start taking fights and when you go somewhere, you want to do it with your teammate because that will give you the highest trade potential. And at Tier 1 CS, trade potential is a huge, huge concept. You'll see a lot of pros not want to take fights if there is no trade potential. And what trade potential means is, let's say I have a teammate in jungle and I peek down con, right? And there's a guy bottom con. I don't want to take this fight because there's no potential for my teammate to trade me. This concept is super, super apparent in pretty much every level of pro play. And so yeah, when you're buddied up, it's pretty much just thinking of your trade potential. That's pretty much what it is. And think of it like this: the more tradable you are, the more chance that you will get traded, the more kills your teammates will get for trading you, the more kills you'll get for trading your teammates, and the more likely you are to win more games and rank up. Now, the next suggestion I have to rank up is use community deathmatch servers. So when have you ever seen a pro player go into Valve Deathmatch? Never. Pros will never do it, because if you think of it like this, in Valve Deathmatch, you have one team versus the other team, which means that you are missing out on half of your chance of getting action because they are now your teammates that you can't really shoot. So the sites that I would recommend to get your deathmatches from would be prac.com or warmup server. And those are the 2 kind of staple deathmatch servers that you'll see pros using. And yeah, those 2 servers pretty much encapsulate probably 100% of the pro scene as far as deathmatch goes. And yeah, it's just because there's no point in using a Valve deathmatch server when you miss out on half the potential action, which means half the potential practice. And yeah, you're just limiting the amount that you can improve. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is playing percentages. So just like I said with trade potential is thinking of the percent chance that you get traded. That's what trade potential is. Notice how I said percent chance. In Tier 1 CS, or even in all of Pro CS, the game is just boiled down to percentages. So you want to give yourself the percentages that favor you the best. And what do I mean by that? If I'm a mid defaulter on T side, and let's say I get smoked off, the CTs throw a molly right here, what is my percent chance that I run through and get a kill when I go out mid? It is going to be probably 5%, which means that this is a bad percentage. So if we were to scale it up, let's say I am a B defaulter on T side, and I throw a molly that I can kind of one-way behind on the ramp. It goes to the top of ramp, and I can peek up ramp to like pillar and default and try and get a one-way. What is the percent chance that this is good for me? What is the percent chance that I get a kill off of this? It's probably going to be more like 40, 60-ish. 40% I get the kill, 60% I die. And depending on this round that the CTs are running, if they're double in cave, you might have info there's no one B. You could walk up on the site. So this has good potential. The percentages aren't great, but they're not terrible. And that's why you'll see some pro players do this on their default. So at a pro level, this game is really boiled down to just percentages. And it gets to a point where it's kind of just like math, right? It's just everything fits into an equation. Is this good? Is this bad? Why? And once you understand all the whys for the situations, why things are good or bad, that will kind of dictate how you play and give you a good map of how you should think about the game. Now, the next thing I have for ranking up is don't waste util, but also don't hog it. When I do coaching sessions, I'll see a lot of players just either throwing their nades willy-nilly or not even using them at all. So I'll give two examples of both of those scenarios. So let's say I'm a B player and I molly the ramp and I come over here and I nade, and then after the molly starts fading, let's say I smoke on top of it and I flash so I can peek, right? As the B player, I have 0 util now, and we are probably, what, 15 seconds into the round? As a B player, I kind of need my smoke to hold the site. I need my smoke to smoke top ramp if my K player wants to come back out and we can play a double setup. I need my smoke to kind of mask what's going on site when I need to be making rotations, when I need to be pushing over towards cave, when my third B player as a rotate needs to be coming over B so he doesn't get shot from an angle like this. I basically need my smoke later in the round to mask what my setup is going to be. And because I use my smoke this early, I can't do that. Now, on the flip side, let's say I'm a B player, I buy full util, and I throw this nade, and I go into cubby. What does this mean? If the other team rushes B, yes, they'll eat my nade, but they're not going to get stopped, okay? So I can probably get one here. I might be able to get two, but the chance that I actually hold the site is pretty low. Now, think if I had started the round with a molly and then potentially a nade on top of it. This is what you'll see a lot of tier 1 players doing, is they'll start with pretty much a molly every single round. If they think the other team is rushing, yes, they'll probably nade, but those are pretty much the only two pieces of utility they'll use at the beginning of the round. The reason why is because it denies any rushes. It's kind of acceptable because you still have your smoke, you still have your flash, and yeah, it gives you a good chance of holding the site. Basically, what I'm trying to say is when you have a utility, you want to think of all the scenarios that you can use it, but you don't want to let that cloud your vision and just snap throw all your util as soon as you get an idea. Now, my sixth tip is going to be to scavenge in post plants. And what I mean by scavenge in post plants is, let's say I have bomb down. Let's say it's like a 2v2 or a 3v3, which is very common in post plants. I get bomb down and we threw a couple smokes on site, but they're starting to fade. So assuming that I got kills on B site to be able to take the site, I'll know where the CT's bodies are. And what do CTs normally buy? Utility. And because your smokes start fading, if they had a smoke for you to use, that would be awesome. So let's say I plant, and I'm not thinking about scavenging. I'm not thinking about getting another smoke. And the long smoke fades, and now I have to sit here, and I'm stuck on pillar. Now, if I had the thought process of, we killed a guy pillar, oh my god, a smoke, no way. And then I can smoke long, and it gives me more room to move. So scavenging in post plants is kind of a smaller concept, but if you find a smoke in a post plant, that is 17 seconds of delay time. That is a super, super, super important piece of utility that you just found for free off of another player because now you know to look for it. There's so many times I'll see this happen, and even from like higher level players, I'll watch them stand on pillar, or for instance on Beyond Mirage, there will be, I don't know, a nade or a molly behind them default, and they'll just look at it and not pick it up. If you get a molly, whoa, now they can't come out cave for the next 7 seconds. So my seventh biggest tip for ranking up is you want to buy correctly. And what I mean by buying correctly is, let's say I am a B player on Ancient, okay? The round starts and I have, I don't know, let's say $4,400 to play with, which is an AK, armor, smoke, and 2 flashes. But I'm a B player, which means that I probably need a smoke for the molly that the CTs throw, and I might need a molly for either Cheetah to clear it later in the round, or a molly for top ramp to deny any pushes from the CTs. But as a B player, I'll probably need a smoke for this molly that the CTs throw to deny me from running up cat. So I'll probably need a smoke for that, just to deny any pressure. Also, if they try and fight down B, they now can't see bottom B off of the smoke. And I might need a molly for either top ramp, or I might need a molly for after the smoke fades for me to molly Cheetah and clear out Cheetah late. Also, as a B defaulter, do you think it's better to get a molly or better to get 2 flashes? What are the scenarios that you're going to be using the flashes in? What are the scenarios that you're going to be using a molly in? These are all the things you should be thinking about when you are buying with low money. When you are buying with low money, you want everything that you're buying to have a purpose. You want to factor it into the round that you're going to play. You don't just want to say, I have $700 left for grenades. I'm going to get a molly and a grenade. Do you really think a nade is more important than a smoke, which has 17 seconds of delay time? And if so, what is your plan with the nade to make it more important than 17 seconds of delay time? Now, for the 8th tip, it's going to be to join a team. If you want to improve at this game, you're going to improve a lot better when you have other players relying on you. Also, 4 other players giving you ideas on how you can play better as a team, how you can play better into your individual spots, and it will help you figure out the game a lot quicker than just solo queuing and playing with randoms who might not even really care about the game. Take this, for example. If I'm just playing mid and pugs, all I'm going to know is to smoke this and then maybe molly this every now and then, right? This is all I'm going to be doing in mid, and then maybe I'll keep fighting until I die, and that's going to be it, right? This is all I have for mid. This is my entire playbook for mid. If I play on a team, my team can't afford me to have this be my only playbook in mid. The other team is going to constantly be telling their IGL, hey, this guy's just smoking and mauling mid every round. We can just go late mid. This forces me to grow as a player, and maybe now I'll start with my molly. And then off of the T's utility, let's say they late smoke house, then I'll late smoke deep. And then after that smoke fades, I'll have a teammate flash me back in the doors. And you see how this works? The start of the round changes. I still maintain mid control. I still use pretty much the same utility I was using before, but now it's more coordinated and adjusted for what my team actually wants, and it's higher percentage for if the T's were to play into mid late. What I'm trying to say when I make this point is if you are serious about the game, join a team. And if you can't find a team, make a team. Make a team with your friends. Make a team with whoever you find and face at pugs. Your first team is never going to be good. My first team wasn't good. Yeah, I mean, your first team is never going to be something that you make a major with. It's not going to be something that you win $1,000 tournaments with. Your first team is there for everyone to grow and grow into being a better player. Sometimes you'll grow out of your teammates. Sometimes you'll grow out of your teams. But if you're saying, oh, I can't find a team, unlucky, just make one. The 9th tip for ranking up is don't tilt. And what I mean by don't tilt is don't really tilt at your teammates. You can kind of do silent tilt. It's not great to do, but it's something that I did a lot in my career. And when I played in a team setting, I'm a very emotional about the game. I care a lot about this game, or at least when I was competing, because I would be sitting there, practicing 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, watching demos on the other team. And whenever my teammates would mess up or get me killed, I'd be pretty upset. You want to factor this in, though, to how much will tilting affect your team. And it will pretty much always be a net negative. What is the point of letting your team know that you're upset with them? It will maybe make them play more scared. It will make them try to overcompensate. There's a lot of negative effects of tilting, and it also just makes the mood low. Maybe the comms get even low. So there's 3 examples just off the top of my head of what tilting will do to negatively affect your team. That's why I'm saying that silent tilt is okay. It's not ideal. I know a lot of people say just don't tilt, but that's extremely easy for the people who don't tilt, but for the people who tilt, it's not a thing that's very easy to shut off. Now, a good way of dealing with this tilt would be to put it towards something positive. So what would happen in my old teams is if something went wrong, I used to say like, oh, we should have done this, we should have done this. And it was actually my teammate Consti who kind of brought it up to me and was like, what's a way that I can try and talk to this player that he had a lot of issues with, not in a non-negative way that won't have him shut down? And basically what we came down to was you ask questions. So let's say something goes wrong, your teammate flashes you, your teammate does a stupid play in your opinion, and kind of griefs the round. You don't just say, you should have just done this, right? You say, hey, do you think it would have been better to do this? And that takes your teammate from being on the defensive to now wanting to actually figure out what went wrong, right? It makes it feel more like you are there to try and figure out, and you're just there to win rather than you're there to make your teammate play how you want him to. Now, in pugs, this might be a little bit harder, but in a team setting, this is extremely necessary to get better as a team. If you all want to get better as players, you need to be kind of critiquing each other as you go on in a way that doesn't set them off, but also in a way that makes them improve. And you also need to be doing this for yourself. In an ideal team setting, all 5 players will be watching back their demos, thinking about every death that they have and why, and trying to figure out how they can play better, why did they die, what can they do, etc., etc. Now, for you solo queue players, something that is really important for you guys to win more games is be friendly at the beginning of the game. The amount of times that I'll get into games and in knife round, people are already saying, "Oh, you idiot! Why are you doing that?" I'm just sitting here and I feel bad for the guy that they're criticizing because it's literally knife round. It is like not that big of a deal. And if you start the game on the wrong foot, then again, like I was saying earlier with playing in a team setting, players might try and overcompensate and go for more plays. They might try and play more passive. It might lower their comms, right? You're not going to be as motivated to win the game when someone is upset with how you're playing. But yeah, basically having a positive mindset will help you win more games. Quick little tip, but it's definitely necessary. Now, the next tip is to find ways to set up your teammates, and I have 2 examples of this. So let's say I am the mid player, or my teammate is the mid player, and I am the mid/B rotate, and I want to help my mid player get kills. He's going to go mid early, he's going to smoke, he's going to molly, he's going to do everything that he normally does as a mid player, and I am going to hold a flash for him. If I tell my mid player at the beginning of the round, hey, I'm going to hold a flash for you, he's going to be more inclined to call for the flash and make a play around this flash. Do you think that playing mid is better with or without a flash being held for the mid player? It's always going to be with a flash being held for the mid player. And this is just really basic stuff, but it's things that I don't see a lot of players doing. You only really see this in like a team setting, but it doesn't make sense because it's super, super easy. The other scenario of finding a way to set up your teammates is, let's say my team just took mid. We killed the mid player. We killed the mid to B rotate. Now it's just the A player left alive. I'm 1 HP and I have a teammate right next to me. I am not going to sit here and play behind my teammate and let him go first. I am 1 HP. I'm going to tell him, yo, bait me, I'm 1 HP. If you say, bait me, I'm 1 HP, instead of let me go first or baiting your teammates are going to be a lot more satisfied because they're going to be like, oh yeah, my teammate is trying to get me a free kill. He is a good teammate. It makes them happy. It makes the round have a higher percentage. There's a lot of positives about this, and all it takes is just finding ways to set up your teammates. There's ways to set up your teammates on every single map. That is why you'll see in Team CS, someone is getting set up pretty much every single round because you kind of need these setups to raise the percentage that you're going to win rounds. Now, the second to last tip is try to have a goal for every single round. If I start a round and I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go E-box and I'm just going to see what happens and just play off a reaction. Yeah, you can get away with this sometimes. Yeah, this is kind of what a default is, but you don't really have a goal of what you're doing. So let's say I am the mid to B rotate, and this guy is the one who kind of needs to have a plan every single round. He's either going to go mid and support his mid player, or he's going to go B and support his B players. If this guy says, if my E-box player doesn't get pressured early and my B main player doesn't get pressured early, I am going to stay in mid. And then you can build on top of that. If my mid player gets pressured, I'll hold flash for him. If they're pressuring mid, then Canals is probably weak. So then I'll rotate over towards A, and I'll push A main with my teammate because it's weak. Once we clear that, what can we do? We can leave one to flank. I can rotate back around and help my mid player. Or I could just rotate around CT and go B, because if Canals is clear, then it's more likely that they're going B unless they took further in mid. Notice how I just pretty much spit for like 2 paragraphs, right? And I didn't even like think about this beforehand. This is because I played the game long enough to where I know what plans are, what good plans are, what good reactions are, what everyone's roles are, and what the Ts are going to do when they do or do not have control. This is the level you guys want to get to fully understand how this game is played. In a team setting, especially in Pro CS, this is extremely basic. What I just said is like extremely basic. But for a lot of players, for probably like 95, 97% of players, that was like spitting. That was like spitting, right? And it doesn't take that much. You just have to think about the game. You just have to think about the theory of the game. And after you do that enough, after you play in enough teams, after you've played enough positions, and especially for me, it helps because I was an IGL, this stuff will become like very basic to you. And yeah, it will help you make plans at the beginning of the round. So if I know what control in mid means, if I know what control in B means, if I know what control in A main means, if I know what the Ts are going to be trying to do, if I know what my team is trying to do, if I know all of these factors, then I can have a good plan for my round. And this all stems from the beginning of the round, right? If I'm staying towards mid, I'm mid because I can support my mid player early. I know that if they start pressuring B, I have to rotate, and if they start pressuring mid, my reaction is to go A. This is what I mean by have a plan at the beginning of the round. I have 3 different options for the 3 different types of controls that the Ts are going to do. B pressure, mid pressure, A pressure, right? All of those are accounted for. So for pretty much every scenario that the Ts will be playing this round, I know what to do because I thought of it beforehand. Now, my last tip, and this is kind of self-plugging based on the tip before, is watch my map theory videos. It's going to be in the how to play at a high level playlist, and I go through every single map and basically describe what the T's goals are, what the CT's goals are, and I basically describe all the basic theory that allowed me to kind of spit like I just did. I just go over the understanding part of the game, not just how to throw a smoke or things like that. I give the reasoning and the theory behind it because I have played at a high level in the past. I know how important it is for you guys to understand that to get to the next level. Anyway, that's going to be it for the video. I stream Monday through Friday, 1 to 5 p.m. EST. Also, I do coaching over on my Medify if you guys want to go check that down below. But yeah, and if you want to see the match theory videos, I'll go ahead and link them somewhere around here. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.